tell us about the your story. So I guess starting with this, of which I'm a proud owner.
The mophie?
Yeah, probably I've had about 10 of those because I tend to break them, but they're otherwise fantastic and a lifesaver.
That's not a great story. But yeah, no,
maybe start with, like you're a senior in high school and you're the
I was a
mortgage story
very
and all
bad
those things.
student, and I just did really bad in school. So bad that I was sitting in the back of math class my senior year in high school trying to figure out a way to listen to my iPod shuffle, and without my teacher realizing I wasn't listening to her, obviously. So I went home and prototyped a product out of ribbon and gift wrap and convinced my parents to remortgage their house to build my first iPod accessory. And they did. They handed me $185,000 and flew to China before my high school graduation and started mophie. From there, I wound up building mophie, selling it after.
So hold on. So
Okay.
you're in high school,
Yeah.
and next thing you go to China. Did you have any idea what you were going to do there? Or
I had no idea what I was going to do. I just knew
flew to where, Shenzhen?
that's where products come from, right? No, I literally got on a flight to Shenzhen without knowing anyone, landed there, spent a month there before graduating high school, and learned the hard way how to build stuff. When I first had the idea, I thought what most inventors think, at least ones that aren't engineers with a ton of product knowledge, which is the only thing standing in the way of this great idea being a huge success is money. So that's why I thought, like, as soon as I have money, everything will be cool. But not the case. I landed in China, and 72 hours later, I realized that all the things standing in my way had absolutely nothing to do with money. So I was sitting there literally on the floor of a factory trying to figure out how I was going to keep my parents' house above water, and that was it. Came back, forgot that you needed to name companies, looked on the floor, my two golden retrievers that were there, Molly and Sophie, mashed them together, and that's how you get mophie. So that was the beginning.
And so
Good old days.
What happened? What
9
happened next?
years ago, last week.
Yeah, and of course, 9 years ago, the hardware scene in New York was so thriving. There were so many people just throwing money at hardware companies, right?
Especially on Long Island, it was awesome.
So how did you go from this concept to an actual product?
How I went from the concept to an actual, I don't even remember. It was a lot of trial and error. The product at the end of the day was a lanyard headphone. Your iPod shuffle stood here, and the wires sort of curled up. So the only distance you needed to clear was from here to here. And so I went to a headphone factory, and then I went to a case factory, and then I went to a wire factory, and sort of tried to get them to all work together. And it was just a lot of brute force. It was not pretty. We still do a lot of brute force. It's fun.
And so you got better equipment now, yeah?
But more toys, yeah.
So, all right, so there's mophie, and mophie got acquired, and then what did you do next?
So when mophie got acquired, it got acquired because I wanted to build Quirky. I basically tested Quirky at Macworld in 2007 with mophie. Showed up at a trade show with nothing and said to the Macworld attendees, let's build a product line together in 3 days. And we did, and it was like the first collaboratively invented product live on a show floor. And I said, this is really cool, but it's obviously analog. How can we build digital tools around this and make invention accessible? That's our little tagline to everyone in the world. And my investors in mophie were sort of freaked out by that vision. They liked selling iPod condoms. So I had to sort of get rid of that business, sold it, and went on to sort of the next thing, which was in between mophie and Quirky, which was a company called Cluster with a K, like clusterfuck. So we started that company. That was basically a technology platform that later would set the groundwork for Quirky. And this was like collaborative decision-making tools that was basically an opportunity for us to test different techniques in working with online communities to have an output of creative work. And about a year and a half into that, I sort of realized that I very much preferred, things that you could hold in your hand and drop on your feet, and I'm not particularly good at software stuff. So I decided to take what we built at Cluster and roll it into Quirky, so it was sort of the best of both worlds. So Ultimately, I've been doing the same exact thing for 9 years. Same exact vision, just through 3 different companies. As my boy Jay-Z says, different toilets, same shit.
And so, we've had a couple of companies that tonight that are building communities. How do you start something? I mean, the infamous sort of chicken and egg problem. Like, how do you start day zero?
How do I start day zero?
Well, how do you get to your first?
I think these
100 users?
Nike guys, they really nailed it, right? Doesn't it say like just do it on the bottom of your shoe? I mean, I honestly don't think there's a better answer than that. I don't very much like people that tell you this is how you start a business or this is how you get paid more. Like all these different things. Like you got to find your own path and do that trial and error thing that I did on the floor of factories and in China. I mean, there's lots of different ways to achieve the same goal, and everyone's got to find their own path. So the way I did it was, as I said, brute force, being willing to go after things that had a high chance of failure. In the beginning, it was because I didn't know it had a high chance of failure, and now I know things have a high chance of failure, but I still do them. So
maybe to ask the question in another way, so don't tell people what they need to do, but maybe any thoughts on stuff that they really should not be doing in light of what you learn, especially in the early days.
I don't know. I'm like I very much don't like people that are professorial in their sort of this is how to do things or this is what not to do.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry, I just not like that's not how we roll.
Fair enough. So tell us about what Quirky is today. So the design, the vote, and the actual implementation of the product.
Sure. So Quirky is a consumer product company, and every product we touch came from the world. It came from an online community of 800,000 people and growing. They submit their ideas in various formats. Some people have prototypes and patents and fully fleshed out stuff, and all they want us to do is hit the giant manufacturing button, which I'm still hoping will exist one day. Some people just have an idea. They just have a sentence. Hey, wouldn't it be cool if we made a flexible power strip? Quirky's here to fill in the blanks, right, to make invention accessible, and that's a combination of our obviously online community along with our expert staff of designers and engineers and product managers, and obviously our facility here, which you guys are all welcome to take a peek at after we're done. And at the end of the day, we do all the heavy lifting to make sure products wind up on shelves. Because what I realized through that mophie process is it wasn't just the money. It's not just, I feel kind of bad for people that run Kickstarter projects and think that as soon as they get their project backed, they're good to go, like all systems go. It's dealing with retailers. It's dealing with manufacturing systems and bill of materials, all this stuff that makes hardware hard, why people like you guys shied away from it for so long. Yeah.
And so how does that work at a very practical level? So people submit ideas, the community votes. What happens next? You have this like amazing.
So every Thursday night we have a product evaluation meeting, which is why we have this whole broadcast set up here with the robotic cameras and stuff, and that's our selection process of the top ideas of the week. We find the top ideas through a very spirited idea debate every Thursday night. Feel free to come any Thursday at 7. And once an idea is chosen, and usually we choose the things that are highly voted from within the community, then we go through a very iterative product development process, all the different phases, from design to development to manufacturing to naming projects. All of these things are influenced and impacted by our global community, and that allows us to make really smart decisions very quickly.
And then, so the actual production happens here. What happens
The
here? Is that
manufacturing.
prototyping?
This is all prototyping stuff. We go from 0 to 1 here, and then we go from 1 to millions at our factories all around the world.
Yeah, factories all around the world that you.
So we do stuff in China. We do stuff in Mexico. We do some stuff in Vermont. So we're sort of do things wherever it makes sense.
What are some of your favorite toys here that you have in the back?
Well, we have about 6, 7 3D printers. This guy here is our favorite new one. It was just announced last week, but we've had it for a couple months as a beta tester. It's Stratasys' new Connex, or I guess they're calling it the Objet 500 now. It's a multi-material, multi-color 3D printer, so you could print in hard plastic, soft durometer rubbers, and then you can color each part. So it's absolutely mind-blowing. We're serial number 15 on the first Connex, and I think we're number 2 on that. So we love the guys at Stratasys. They let us play with all their new stuff before it comes out, and their new machine is absolutely mind-blowing. It's good.
Very cool. So you also partner with Electric Imp. That was Hugo was presented right
Yeah,
before.
yeah. Hugo and his team are great partners.
So how does that work? So for any connected, any product that you guys build that needs a connection, you basically build Imp in it?
For the first set of products, we use Electric Imp. The next set of products we're doing, also Electric Imp. They really allow us to get from a standing place to a full sprint very quickly. As products scale, as Hugo said, it makes sense for us to look at other platforms once we're up in the the hundreds of thousands, millions of pieces, as Quirky is often doing these days. So, but Electric Imp is sort of our first instinct.
And in the overall sort of portfolio of products that you see, are you seeing, so obviously connected devices and Internet of Things is all the rage, but are you seeing actual...
There's actually 20% of our idea submissions last year. We get about 4,000 ideas a week. 20% were for connected products.
And
I thought that was mind-blowing.
And that comes from 0 or not very much?
From 0 the year, whatever, single-digit percentages the year before. A lot of that has to do with people knowing that GE is sort of behind us and they can get their product made by GE, but like the 20% of the world's ideas are in connected. That's pretty crazy.
Any ones you particularly like that came out of this 20%? Or not yet, or is that?
Yeah, there's lots of cool things that we're working on that are about to come out that are very interesting. We're doing a propane gauge, which sounds kind of boring and utilitarian on the surface, but if you think about all those times when you're at a barbecue and there's no more, like you run out of propane, so there's this little almost like a scale that you put under your propane gauge for $30. And then we're going to geofence every Home Depot in the country, and so when you drive by a Home Depot, if you're low on propane, we're going to send you right there to get loaded up.
Are you seeing? I love what you do on GLA. I think it's like the most awesome thing. Is great.
Fired that guy. I'm screwed now.
Well, maybe like Jimmy Fallon or something. Yeah. I thought that was great. But all of those were consumer products. Is there so maybe to the propane example? Is there do you see a trend towards enterprise or sort of B2B products?
Quirky likes consumer. It's what we know best. Consumer experience and what the world wants. That's the beauty of community. Will we take on other challenges? Yes, you'll see some stuff this year from us that I can't talk about that are bigger and badder things, so to speak. The difference, though, is that we sort of always have a community first, customer first sort of attitude about it. When we build big bad things, it's because it ultimately will serve an end community member at the end of the day.
And so you mentioned GE. Has that what's the idea? How's that working, I guess, so far?
So
that's where you're going back the very large company going from the sort of super innovative startup, but working with probably one of the most innovative but fundamentally traditional company in the world.
Yeah, GE is the company that invented invention, right? They are literally the company that figured out how to commercialize invention, and so they've been doing that for 130 years, and they're focused on the industrial stuff. That's their business. But they do still have one of the strongest American consumer product brands out there. And what they look to Quirky for is keeping that inventive. And they've been nice enough to realize that our community is a great source of inspiration for that, a great way to find alternative uses for their intellectual property, a great way to sort of leverage their dormant factories and workers all over the world. And we are more than happy to play that part because they're probably the most important company in the world.
So so if I'm an inventor, so if I remember correctly, the royalty that is paid is high, which is very much a part of the whole premise. So now if I'm an inventor and my product gets voted and I get through the process, my product could actually be distributed by GE sort of globally, and therefore, this could be a very sort of enriching moment for inventors.
Yeah, I mean, our process has made millionaires. Yeah, I mean, some of our community members, one in particular, is now a millionaire. Several have made hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, you probably have seen our little cord management product, the little cordies thing. It keeps your cables on the table. That inventor made $450,000 last year. That repulses me and excites me. I mean, it's just, it's absolutely amazing to realize that these people with simple ideas that are gaining. I mean, we've sold millions of these things, and the inventor is certainly reaping in the rewards. In terms of what happens if you invent a connected product and it carries the GE logo, well, first of all, it carries the GE logo. Second of all, we do leverage their scale in a lot of ways, whether that be their supply chain or their technological expertise or their patents. I think Quirky has a bigger distribution footprint than GE Consumer, so I think they still lean on us for retail.
And I was always curious, who owns the product? Is it that's you guys?
Quirky owns the product,
Okay.
and we're very clear about that. But because of that, you get a perpetual royalty that, as you just heard, adds up.
Okay, very cool. All right, so I want to open up to people. Yep.
Hi, my name is Gilles. I'm freelancer. What is the best seller from all time?
All-time bestseller is our power line. It's our pivot power, the power strip that pivots. 22-year-old kid.
This one right here, right?
Yeah, that's the genius version. That's Jake, by the way. That's the inventor who's a millionaire. It's kind of a goofball. That's the genius version, which has an electric impedance, so you can turn on and off outlets with your phone. But the standard issue, $20 pivot power is sold in 16 different countries and different colors and different sizes, and we move hundreds of thousands of them a month. And it all started with a high school kid in Wisconsin. So we love that story. Go ahead.
I'm Jesse from iTech Art. I'm curious to know, so when a product comes into you guys, it's built, who's handling the distribution? Who's dealing with the realtors?
We deal with we deal with distribution. We deal with everything. The inventor does as little as he or she feels like. Literally, it's if she's got a patent and engineering documents, great. If not, we'll fill in the blank, and we do everything. We finance the products, we move them around the world, we warehouse them, we serve them from a customer service standpoint. It's literally, when you submit your idea to Quirky and it gets selected, you sit back and collect a check. That's it. And we put your face on our wall, which is another perk.
Hi, I'm Echo. I come from Shenzhen, and I have been working on develop the product for more than 10 years. Actually, this company was my dream, and 5 years ago I had the same idea. Said I should build such a company. I'm so excited. Oh no! I can
Just do it. That's what I'm saying.
And so I'm very excited about what you're doing, and I visit around. So I have a question. So what do you see this company in 10 years? Thank you.
I'm still trying to figure out 10 minutes from now, but 10 years from now, and whatever, I think Quirky should be the most prominent consumer product brand in the world. It is the only brand that has ever been built for and with consumers. It has an amazing story built into every product. There's shared incentive systems, which is something mind-blowing in corporations, right? We're not successful unless our customers are successful. And I can't think of any company in the world that can say that more than Quirky can. So that's what I hope it will be, and we will work hard to make it that. Go ahead. Anyone?
My name is Colin from Little Bit. I was
Yeah,
wondering-
little bits.
Yeah, hi.
Love that shit.
Yeah. I was wondering about, as of now, all the products that I know of that are connected devices are using the imp. You said that at some point it becomes more viable to do your own kind of alternative. Do you have an example? Do you have something that you've kind of graduated past the electric amp yet?
No,
That's theoretical then? Oh.
it's theoretical. I mean, we are big fans of Hugo and his team. We're conscious of that tipping point where it will make sense for us to have an in-house solution. But for now, and for the foreseeable future, it's the amp.
Hey, Alex, Metamorphic Ventures. Two questions. The first one is manufacturing. I mean, you guys, it's cool to like print out something in a 3D printer, but it's a whole other monster to figure out how to manufacture it and scale it. Can you just talk about the process of finding a manufacturing partner? And the second question is just in terms of data. I'm sure, like you said, you got a lot of people in your community telling you like what they want to see in a product. You must be getting a ton of data. I'm just curious about, what you do with that data, or if you do collect it even.
We sell it. No. Sure. I'll take the first question first. Manufacturing is it's obviously a constantly evolving industry, and it's something you need to always have your eyes on. The beautiful thing about it is when most investors first look at Quirky, they're like, well, how are you going to make so many different things in so many different categories and so many different price points? A little anecdote. I think we're the only brand in the world that has products at Walgreens and the MoMA store. And the answer to the manufacturing question is when you sort of lift the curtain on manufacturing and you start doing the amount of products we do, there's certain processes where they're all sort of common, right? You have your place that does your tooling, you have your place that does your plastics, you have your place that does the packaging and so on. So, the packaging shop doesn't really care if you're making a spoon or an electronic. So you develop really deep relationships with core suppliers in different disciplines. And that's sort of how we've sort of gone. And we basically have multi-tiered supply chain where we have like the sprint team of manufacturers that just want to move quick and do new products. And then as that product launches, we'll decide whether or not it has a heartbeat. This speaks to your data question. If it has a heartbeat, then we'll graduate that to our sort of supply chain optimization team, which does things like move it from the mom and pop factory that is a great partner of ours that can tool up things in 12 days to a Flextronics who can scale it to, hundreds of millions of pieces. So that's the first side. On the data side, I do believe we can be the most predictive consumer product company in the world because of the pulse we have on the market at any given time. A great anecdote for that is we were building a sink drain stopper, and one day someone came into the office and said, I think drains are all different sizes in different countries and different cities and stuff like that. And in a normal company, they would go and spool up a research team or whatever. We did what we call a flash project, where we asked our community members to take a picture of their drain with a quarter next to it, and then one of the techie guys in the back did a little program that sort of scraped all that, and it knew the standard size of every drain out there, and the min and the max, and so on, and that was literally an hour. So being able to do stuff like that, unlike other, I think we have the most drain data of any product company in the world. But then you start doing that for every product development project. You're asking questions and getting answers, and then you're able to sort of draw the lines between different products, and you get where it's going. What we do with it is we make great products. We have no intention to do anything with the data other than to make great products. Sell them too, but primarily make them.
Just one last really quick question. You guys allow other people to sort of give their input and ideas and get a percentage of the money that's made. I'm wondering typically how many people are getting paid out per product that you're selling.
I'm looking for folks that may have a more up-to-date answer. As of last year, it was about 1,500 people per product is the average ownership. Those are 1,500 people that made intellectual contributions to the successful development of a product. I believe that number has gone up. A couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, we had to send out all 1099s. That's what they're called, right? Yeah, 1099s. And literally there was boxes full of 1099s, and that was my favorite day in Quirky history, because you just see the amount of people that are making money, over $600 a year on Quirky, and that's what it's all about.
Great. So we have time maybe for one more.
This guy here.
Yep.
Thank you. My name's Andre. You mentioned patents, and you've mentioned how everyone contributes. So let's say I have a product idea, but I don't have a patent. When I come to you guys, will you help me with the patent? And if, for example, there's a problem with it, somebody tries to sue me, what happens then?
Yeah, we indemnify you. We do your patent work for you. We do all the heavy lifting. We make sure you're well compensated for your efforts.
And when the HP of the world comes to sue me, you guys...
They don't sue you, they sue me.
So they'll sue you and you guys deal with that?
I mean, we were the ones that manufactured and commercialized the product. You just had an idea. It was our job to do the diligence whether or not it was, cool to manufacture it. So we try to demystify and simplify the product development process so that creative people can do what they do best, which is create.
One last word maybe on hardware and New York. Do you find that New York is a great place to find talent? And if so, in which categories, and what other type of talent would you like to see more of here?
I think there's a serious shortage of electrical engineers. From the design standpoint, there's no better place to build a product business, a hardware business. From a manufacturing standpoint, there's a lot of knowledge in New York. I think electrical engineering is a place where we seriously lack, and we've had a hard time, getting up to speed as quickly as we'd like. Other than that, it's New York. Can't beat it.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much for being a wonderful host. And,
Yeah, thanks. And I don't know if there's enough Quirky people around here, but if people would like tours of the shop or whatever, we're happy to walk you through quickly and stuff.
This is great. I'm sure
So.
people will take you up on it. So again, thank you very much to you and your team for hosting us here. It's been a lot of fun. We love the offices, and it's so amazing to have a company like you guys here.
Right on. I think there's food for everyone and stuff, and we'll have you back soon, so cool.